Bhim, Jai Mul Nivasi, Jai Savidhan, Jai Bharat. Once again, welcome back to MNT News Network. Today is Sunday, and every Sunday we are organizing the special issues with respect to English topics in English. And recently, as you have seen on Thursday, one of the judgment was given by the Supreme Court, and this judgment was with respect to the subcategorization of the within the scheduled caste, and also in this particular case, the insertion of creamy layer was done. So specifically, we are discussing today on the creamy layer insertion. The topic for discussion is insertion of creamy layer in the Supreme Court judgment, an anti-people act of Brahminical prejudice to kill the constitution and its spirit. And today we had with us Dr. Sanjay Ingole, sir, who is National Vice President of BAMCEF, and he is going to deliver his views on this particular topic, why and how this creamy layer insertion has been inserted in the judgment. Sir, welcome to MNT News Network, Dr. Sanjay Ingole, sir, and we are very thankful to you for joining today.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jai Bhim, Jai Mulyasi.
So,
sir, basically, as we see, the judgment that was given on Thursday, which constitutes almost of 565 pages, and among these pages, almost if we see from pages 143 to 421, basically almost 278 pages are written by our Honorable Justice B.R. Gavai, sir. Means almost 50% of the pages of this judgment are written by one judge, and the rest 50% of the pages are written by rest of the 6 judges. If we see Honorable Justice B.R. Gavai, sir, he belongs to the same caste for which this subcategorization issue has been raised. And as far as the judgment is considered, we can see that the main issue of the case was related to the reservation in services. As the Punjab government case was there, and their main issue which came in front of this case was with respect to the reservation in services for the members of scheduled caste and the backward class. But actually, if we see the overall ruling or overall judgment that has been given by the Supreme Court, constituting of 7 judge benches, this judgment came in 2 categorization. One is with respect to the subcategorization within the scheduled caste, and the other has came up with the creamy layer. Which was not the case basically as far as the initiation of the case or the purpose of the case was is considered, because the purpose of the case was with respect to the categorization or subcategorization within the scheduled caste. As we can see that though the creamy layer was not the main criteria, still within the judgment, if we see the 7th point of the conclusion remarks of Justice B.R. Gavai, sir, we can see that this creamy layer has been inserted. So we would like to know from you this insertion of a creamy layer, which was seconded by 2 other judges among the 7 judges. How do you see this insertion of creamy layer will affect among, as far as the social background is concerned or social perspective is considered, or the overall the spirit of the constitution is considered, how it is going to impact this insertion of creamy layer?
Thank you, Ashish ji. And I am thankful to MNT News Network for organizing a discussion on such a vital topic. The first and foremost thing that we always must mind while discussing the matter of reservation is that reservation is a matter of representation. Right. It is not a matter of employment or a poverty elevation or benefiting the one can say the most the person who faces more discrimination or most backward, or you can say the most poor. So this is not the concept of reservation. The concept of reservation is about representation in the governance and in the institutions operated and run by the state, the union, the government, the nation. So this this concept of reservation was brought to build a strong nation, because India was a fragmented population when it got liberated from the British governance, and that fragmented population was required to be consolidated under single identity as one nation, as Indians. And when the population was fragmented to a large extent, the leaders at that time, they were required to create certain atmosphere and certain constitutional mechanism through which the fragmented uh, categories, the fragmented masses groups could be consolidated. And for that consolidation, the major categorization at that time was the uh, general population and the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and the other backward classes. This is considered as Indian society. These are the major components, communities of which the Indian society is constituted. And if they are to be represented in the process of governance, that is, it means in the process of decision making, policy framing, and execution of the policy through the institutions of the democracy, through the institutions of the state. Broadly, the legislature, executive, judiciary, and media. So these are the broad four institutions, and the other institutions, they are the expansion and extension of these institutions, including the economic institutions like bank, hospital, school, transport, electricity, irrigation, agriculture, industry. All these, they are the extension of the executive. And the executive constitutes all these institutions, create their agencies, and through those agencies, executive is supposed to fulfill the objective of the constitution and provide services to the citizens of the country. Now, when it comes to the manning of the institution, it comes to the engagement of the manpower to sit on the position, to hold the power and make decision for the nation. If the people of one group, the Brahminical group in this country, the so-called Savarnas, they are operating in each and every institution, then the masses, which are 90% of the total population of this country, that is backward and minority classes, SC, ST, OBC, and minority, they constitute 90% of the population of this country. If they are not involved in the process of decision making and in the process of execution of the decisions, then there would be a grave problem in creation of the nation. Because if one group makes decision and those decisions are considered not valid and not good for the other group, that is the major group, 90% people of this country, original inhabitants of this country, then there will be a conflict of interest in peaceful living in this country. And therefore, the Constituent Assembly decided that for building a strong nation, all constituents, all components of the population of India, that is that is the Brahminical population and the indigenous population, SC, ST, OBC, they must get represented, they must sit together, and they together should decide and execute the decisions, provide the services to people. And therefore, to provide representation to the competent people from the backward classes, the system of reservation has come into existence. And I would like to highlight here that the concept of representation is based on the understanding that the most competent, the most committed, the most dedicated will represent the lot. That is representation. Now, when we consider these two things, that reservation is a matter of representation, and the most competent and most dedicated and committed person must represent a lot, a community in the system of governance. Then the question of most poor and most neglected is not connected to this, is of a nuisance value here, because to get represented you need a person who is aware and who has a capacity to express the reality, problem of the people, issues of the people. The one who is most poor and most neglected has no capacity to gather the reality and represent it. Dr. Ambedkar's father was a subedar in the army. Tell me any single example that a son of a beggar has become a leader, has represented the masses. A son of a beggar will have no time other than to search food for his day, and when he will eat a rotten food, he'll sleep like taken a drug for sleep, and he'll have no time to bother about the other people. Therefore, it is practical only that the person who has been brought up through the institution of the government, through the institution of education, to understand the nation and the society, who is learned, he can only represent his father, his mother, because we have a universal education system in India. Anybody, a son of a beggar also can go to the school and learn. My father was a laborer. My father was a menial laborer, but he had prepared me to go for education because that was the commandment of BAMCEF. And many people who understood the commandment of BAMCEF to educate, organize and agitate, they have moved forward. They have represented the community at various places. So person who has the capacity to represent, to express the problem and issues of the people must get represented. Whereas the concept of this criminal is based on a myth and a diverted view that those who have good economy, they should not represent the masses. This is very unfortunate. This is very actually out of the question that the economy is being brought for the discussion while social issues are being discussed, while social problems are to be solved. And I would say that the economic status always remains fluid. That is not a permanent status, whereas social identity, caste identity is a institutionalized identity, is a constitutional identity, and it remains stable. Therefore, in this judgment, while discussing about the categorization, subcategorization among the scheduled caste, why this criminal concept has come into picture, to my mind, is it is just his master's voice. There is a concept of his master's voice. In old good days, when this um, this recording system was on the disc, and discs were played in a box, on that disc it was written his master's voice. HMV. That was the company which produced that disc, which to be used in uh, giving more sound to the recorded voice. So Mr. Gawai, who is a learned judge in the Supreme Court, who also belongs to scheduled caste, he has unnecessarily brought this issue up familiar in the discussion. If other people had brought, that would have been a matter of a different understanding. But why Mr. Gawai brought this? I consider he is because he is the prey of the system where there is no representation in the judiciary. So he has come into judiciary on the blazing of his master. So therefore he has to dance on the tunes of his master. He must be prompted and dictated by his master to bring this issue into this decision. Because the person who has prayed before the court, he was saying that the scheduled caste are not a homogeneous mass, and therefore, based on the situation of various castes involved in the scheduled caste, there should be subcategorization of scheduled caste, and a quota within the quota should be given. That was the issue. Also, that is also a wrong issue, because at the beginning I said this category of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC and backward classes is created to create a homogeneous mass, although they are not a homogeneous mass. But in Article 341, Clause 1, it is said now they will be deemed as scheduled caste. Once the list is created, they will be considered as scheduled caste, and their old status, their old say undignified status of the caste, which was contemptuous identity, which was kind of a slang given to these people, Bhangi, Chamar, Mahar, these are the slangs which have been used for them. These are the derogatory identities assigned to them, contemptuous identities assigned to them. And to end them, the larger category of scheduled caste was created, so that when you pronounce scheduled caste, the sense of a particular caste which is derogatory will not be pronounced, will not come in picture. That will be removed, that will be vanished. Only a concept of scheduled caste would be there, and people will be identified as scheduled caste. So this exercise was created to consolidate them, and the judges, learned judges, are saying that that doesn't prevent the subcategorization. What do you want to say? If it is not expressly saying, the article is expressly not saying that you cannot classify, then for what fun it has been consolidated? It is consolidated only because it should not remain fragmented. It should not be subcategorized. Otherwise, you will have to categorize them to the end of it. Every caste has to be then given the representation. How can you then define the heterogeneity and homogeneity? If you are bound to go for heterogeneity, then provide reservation for each caste, because each caste has its unique characteristics and unique job assigned by the Brahminical forces. Then you cannot bind 2-3 castes together. Then you fragment them to the end, as it was. Was that the purpose? The purpose of creation of a category called scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and OBC was to consolidate and not the fragmentation, and get a proper representation from that lot. The one who is most concerned, the one who is most committed, who is most dedicated and learned, should express on behalf of those castes, whatever his economy may be. Today and then also, there were people in our communities who were millionaires, who were landlords. Today also we have landlords. Today also we have poor and landlord both. During Baba Sahib period, Before Baba Saheb period, there were people in scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and OBC who were somehow more economically rich as compared to the poor. So the poor and rich category has remained always, but the constitution has not dealt with the question of economy. The constitution has dealt with the question of social status, which was created by the Brahminical forces to discriminate and segregate and isolate the Mool Niwasis of this country, the SC, ST, OBC of this country. Baba Sahib has consolidated us into SC, ST and OBC, and it is our duty to consolidate ourselves into one single homogeneous category called the Mool Niwasi of these people. This is the development of this movement. We should take people forward on this line. Once we go on this line, then only we'll be able to fight. Suppose
Right.
take a case that the representation is given to each caste, and the caste, then you'll have to create a roster. Otherwise, you'll not be able to give. So in this life, in this birth, probably many caste, because there are 6,700 and 7,000 caste around as recognized by the Constitution of India. There are no, in my life, I don't have 6,000 years to live. My life is not for 6,000. My turn will not come. That caste turn will not come. So this is just putting dust in the eyes of the people. This is just misleading the masses. This is against the masses. This is against the people, that their real representatives are not being represented, including Mr. Gawai. Gawai is not our real representative. He has got representation on the prayer and on the blazing of his master, who is dictating him to raise such issues which has been already resolved by the Constitution. There is no place for criminal in the Constitution, but for his survival, for his own dignity, he is following the dictum of his master, I think. Otherwise, there is no scope for raising the issue of criminal here when the issue of representation is being discussed. Even this categorization, which Supreme Court has said is okay if the state is subcategorizing them for the benefit of their welfare, providing welfare benefits to them. But I tell you, this Article 14, Article 15, Article 16, they are the matter of opportunity, equal opportunity. They are not the matter of welfare. Welfare matter is given in the chapter 4 of the Constitution. The government has authority and power and direction to plan for each and every individual in this country. May he be rich or may he be poor. Government has to take care of the welfare of each person. May he be Ambani or may he be the chaiwala. So they should plan. The government has every authority to plan for each and every individual. Why only some people in the scheduled caste and some people in scheduled tribe and OBC? Government should make a policy and allocation of budget for the welfare of each and every person in this country. And particularly if government thinks so fit and desirous and required at the particular juncture, the weaker section of the society, maybe women, the children, the laborer, the farmers, poor farmers, and so on and so forth. So they should make provisions as per the directive principle of state policy. There is no prohibition. No government is prohibited. But as per Article 14, 15, and 16 are concerned, that is the fundamental right of the people of this country to get proper representation in the decision making and implementation of the nation's affair. Therefore, I consider that as they have got Mr. Gawai to write half of the pages there as a donkey job there, whatever is not required, that is put into these 500, 600 pages. That is easy. They are making people like Gawai, they are making easy for their masters, including the chief justice. Now cannot be blamed because it is not the concept of chief justice. Chief justice himself did not raise the matter of criminal. Is even Justice Bela did not raise the matter of criminal. Now people will say they are clean, they are good people. No, Chief Justice Chandrachud is a very nice fellow. He is a very progressive fellow, and his job is being done by Mr. Gawai. Half of his job is done by Mr. Gawai. So if people like Gawai are available, people uh, in politics also, who are there to praise you by poetry in the parliament. If such poets are available from our community to praise our enemies, then what is the uh, harm to them? There is no harm to them. Therefore, there is no representation in judiciary, because real representatives cannot be given, cannot get opportunity to get represented in Supreme Court, cannot get represented in defense services, cannot get represented. Now, if this subcategorization is done in many categories, you will then declare no suitable candidate is found. Can the commission, Public Service Commission of this India, appoint a beggar who is illiterate as collector of this some of the districts in this country, under the policy of the most neglected be benefited, be represented? Can an illiterate represent me in the Supreme Court, in the Parliament? Will he be able to understand what is going on there? What conspiracies are being hatched behind the statements and the documents being presented in the court and the parliament? Not possible. And if they have a courage, I challenge them. I challenge them and offer them that make a beggar as a collector of a district in Delhi or somewhere in this country. The person who has the eligibility to him, you are saying he should not be represented because his father's income is more than 7 lakh rupees. And the person who is not eligible, you are saying we are ready to make him. You are making us fool. Do you understand we are fool? That the person who is not having eligibility even, you are talking about him to be our representative. So we must understand, the intellectual person of our community must understand this conspiracy of criminal, that those who have the teeth, they are not given food to chew, and those who don't have the teeth, they are saying you chew the horse's crown. Nuts, hard nuts, you break down the hard nuts and then you eat it. I don't have the teeth to break down the hard nuts and eat it, and you are giving me the hard nuts. This is not my food. The person who don't have teeth, he should be given a liquid food. The person who has teeth, he can be given the hard nuts to crack. But this is, हमारे हिंदी में कहते हैं जिसके दांत है उसको चना नहीं, और जिसके दांत नहीं है उसको बोल रहे चना खाओ. This is making people fool. This anti-people act. Only because the poor in this country, the laborer in this country, do not have time to understand their conspiracies. Therefore, they are hatching such conspiracies. And the intellectual people, because they are not given proper representation, they are searching for some masters to whom they can pray and get blessing for getting a post in the government machinery, getting a promotion in the government machinery, getting a authority in the government machinery, to live their individual life. This is happening after Baba Saheb Ambedkar. It's very sad. The followers and lieutenants of Baba Saheb Ambedkar must understand this and retaliate this, create a resilience for this. This is our duty to defend this situation, that the unnecessary concepts are being brought in the purview of the constitution and the law, which are against the spirit of constitution. What does the spirit of this constitution say? The dignity of the individual is protected in the preamble. And you are asking my income? It means you are challenging my dignity. The constitution does not permit you to ask my income, because by asking my income, you are going to judge me. So who has given you a right to pass a judgment on my personality, my individual condition? My caste and identity is not created by me. My income is
Even,
my
even
income is my.
sir,
So
basically, even
sir, from the constitution, I draw this authority to say that asking the income of a person is nothing but insulting him and challenging his dignity, opening him in public space. Asking him like, show how black you are inside your clothes,
right, sir.
right? If I
Right.
ask the judges, show me how black you are inside your clothes, it's beyond my capacity to ask them, and this will actually humiliate them, challenge their dignity. But they are doing so. They are doing so. They are asking the income of the people, and based on their income, they say, on your income, then we'll see who is your representative. On our capacity and eligibility, on our scholarship, on our understanding of the problem, we should get representation. And who will tell that I have the better understanding of a issue? My presence, my performance in the examination that you undertake through UPSC and state public service commissions, and the people who vote for me, if I go to the house of the people, they know better how I represent them. So that are the two criterias: through examination and through people's vote for me to get my representation is the only mechanism given in the constitution to choose the representatives, and not their income. Asking income of the people and bringing this criminal into the purview of the constitution is the strategy to divide people inside their houses. To me and my brother, my brother is poor and I am a professor, so they are creating a drift, and drift within the family, within the community. And what, for what use? For nothing. Because even on that ground, there is no capacity, they are not in a capacity to take care of each and every individual. Asking income is an individual matter, and asking caste is a collective matter. So the constitution has decided to consolidate the population and not divide the constitution. Criminal divides the population, and this policy of divide and rule is being implemented and being pushed forward through their master's voice. People from our community are being used. We should definitely create a movement against this and create real representatives and fought against this judgment. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. One more thing, basically, if we see, if this issue would have been more value, if the 100% implementation of the representation policy could have been done. If we see today
Yeah,
also,
they are
in
not
many
doing
of
it.
in many of the areas, thousands of posts are lying vacant, and it is not
Yeah.
getting filled in all the areas.
Now
And
they
it
will
also,
increase it.
yeah,
Now they will increase. They'll say no, suitable person is not found,
correct.
and they'll keep it
So
blank. That is
basically,
the
it can be a policy to totally means sabotage the reservation policy, the
yes,
representation policy,
rightly.
so that whosoever is available, they will be excluded from as a criminal, and who are not available, who will be available, they will be found as not suitable. So
You are
it
not
is
eligible.
completely the representation policy, sabotaging the representation policy. Sir,
Yes.
one more thing I would like to know. See, as far as the Indian Constitution is considered, it is implemented from 1950, and after that, the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people are getting representing the various areas. And now they are telling is that they had the particular caste has raised above some level, and they should be excluded as far as the criminal is considered. On the other side, if we see, there is implementation of only 50% reservation to the 85% mass, whereas the rest of the
Yeah, yeah, very nice.
15% are getting only they are getting more than 50%. So, and also if we see the 3.5% Brahmins, they are taking advantage of this entire scenario for the last 5,000 years. So as far as the scheduled caste is considered, they are getting the benefit from 1950, whereas the 3.5% people are considered, they are getting the benefits right for the 5,000 people. So to
Yes,
whom
yeah,
this criminal should be implemented, or
yeah.
who are
Why
the
not
people
then?
that should be
If you are
excluded?
implementing criminal, if you are implementing criminal for the reserved category, you implement the criminal for the general category also. Why should Mr. Chandrachud, his father and his grandfather, they are continuously in the Supreme Court? Why did not he give up?
Correct.
The general category people whose status has raised up, they should give up representing people in the public institution. And the poor people in the general category, they should be given the chance to represent the people. in the public institutions? Why not that then? If you are implementing it, definitely a person like me should go to the court and say, now you apply this criminal to all categories, including general. All, all the learned people, all the capable people, they should not run the affairs of the nation and institution. Only the poor and the discriminated people, they should get the opportunity to represent the nation. And to how many you will give, you will have to decide, because majority of the population is discriminated, and you need few people to run the affairs of the nation. Will you be able to give them representation to all? This is a question to them. But definitely, now one should challenge them in the court of law, in the parliament also, that now you apply this creamier and subcategorization to general category also. General mass is not homogeneous. General means Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and their subcaste and their gotras. They should also divide them and provide them according to their gotras and subgotras, and they should create a roster for representing them in the public services, public institutions, public opportunities. That why you are not doing that? You first do it there. For general category, you apply this criteria, subcategorization and criminal, and then you apply for the reserve category. This is natural justice. If you are doing it, you apply there also. We are with you on this argument.
50% is there for them also.
Yeah,
50% reservation.
50% lot. Why not apply this criminal? Why not apply subcategorization? Understand? Are all Brahmins homogeneous? The Bengali Brahmin is eating meat. The Madrasi is different. The Aryabrat Brahman is different. Koknast Brahman is different. Create their hierarchy, categories, and then create a roster for their representation. Was this scheme for dividing people? Was this scheme for consolidating the people? Baba Sahib have succeeded in consolidating 7,000 castes into 4 categories only. And this in future, we will make effort to consolidate it 4 into 1 nation. That is the movement. That is the movement for equality and justice in this country. That is the movement of Phule and Ambedkar. Right. And the lieutenant of Ambedkar, if they are saying now, mine is over, I was collector, my son will not get benefited, it means they are backing out from the battle. If you were a collector, your son and daughter, they should represent the masses without taking any public fund in the parliament, in the assembly, in the UPSC, in the all educational institutions. They should represent the masses. They should fight and shed their life for the resolving the issues of the people. If you were a collector, your children should do that better, in a better way. But you are saying mine is war, my children will go to America. So it means you are backing out from the battle. You are coward, and you are deceiving the community. The community had given you a space to represent, and your next generation to represent better. That is the concept behind the reservation, that we must bring out the competent representatives in the public institution to build a nation.
Right, sir. So, sir, basically now if we see the entire media is speaking of on this particular issue, and there are various divergent views on the pro side as well as on the opposition side, and the intellectual class, basically from scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and other backward classes, they can be in a dilemma mode, and because various types of views will be coming in the media and all. So, considering all the things, and from your social perspective, what message you would like to give to our viewers or our intellectual class specifically, how they should guide the society on this particular issue?
See, now it's very critical time, and it's a war time. So on war footing, we are required to reach out to our intellectual class and our masses and educate them on what is the conspiracy behind this, how the constitution is the objective and spirit of the constitution is being betrayed. The constitution want us to be we, and the rulers and the public representatives in public institutions, they're dividing the people. So this is a grave issue in this nation. This will create a rip, and this create a no situation of a public riots, or you can say the home war. So therefore, it is our prime responsibility to go and consolidate people. These people, Brahminical people, they are bound on, they are no engaged in dividing masses. Our duty is to consolidate the masses. But the unfortunate thing is that, fortune I don't believe, but the bad thing is that our intellectual class, even professors and even journalists, they are not able to understand the consequences of what enemy is proposing. Therefore, we should go to them, make them understand what are the consequences and what is the real scheme of representation, and what will happen if the incompetent person, his master voice is taken for representation. That has to be explained to our masses and our intellectuals. We will run a campaign against this. Immediately we'll start a campaign against this. We'll reach out to our intellectual class who have been misled, who have been forced and in captivity of the enemy to speak on their dictum. So we'll run definitely a very special campaign to remove this confusion and take ahead the karma of social justice and equality in this country and protect the constitution. Their main aim is to actually kill the constitution, the spirit of the constitution, to make us one nation as we, the people of India. We will run a campaign to protect constitution and the spirit of the constitution.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time and guiding our viewers, our intellectuals on this particular aspect where when the society is in a dilemma and when the conspiracies, understanding conspiracies and awakening the masses on the conspiracies is a real time the intellectuals should think of. And you had guided us, our viewers, in a very particular way what they should do and what is their duty. And hope that they definitely will take this in a positive way and work within the society and guide the masses, guide the society in proper way. Thank you very much for joining today. We will again invite you on some other specific occasions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi,
Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, Jai Bharat, Jai Savidhan.
Jai Savidhan, sir. Yes. Thank you very much, sir.